You guys remember a few weeks ago when I made this build? That heavy gunner transport? You know, this little guy. Yeah, it was pretty good. A lot of you guys liked it. But let me introduce you to his big brother, the A1-22 Vulture. Did anyone else just get chills, or was that just me? What's going on, everyone? Wolf here. Welcome back to another Starfield build guide. Before we dive in, the guys over at TZ Audio were nice enough to send me one of their high-quality studio microphones, the Stellar X2. This thing is amazing. The quality is unmatched, and the aesthetic is incredible. I'm using this to record the video today. Luckily for one of you, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for this brand new mic in my Discord. If you're interested, all you have to do is join and check the announcements tab for details. You'll have from the time that this video goes live until November 23rd, and on Thanksgiving, I'll be packing it up and shipping it to one of you guys. Link for the Discord can be found in the description of this video, as well as in the bio of my channel. And as usual, if you haven't already joined the Wolfpack, smash that subscribe button. Like and hit the bell to stay up to date with all my latest content. Now let's get into it. This build takes its inspiration from another Star Citizen build, known as the Anvil Valkyrie dropship. And like I talked about in the intro, I would kind of consider this like the Heavy Gunner Transport 2.0 build. I took everything from that ship and turned it up to 11. All the tricky parts of this build are right around the main body, so it's best to start with the halves, then flip to the bottom and slowly build around it, and we'll get to the top in a second. You can use up to 5 halves for this build, each one customizable, but I chose to go with the stat building halves, as well as some new Taiyo ones. These have a really military jump ship interior look to them. I'll do a walkthrough at the end to show you what I mean. At this point, if you're able to see through all this mess of parts, what you should have is 5 halves, a landing bay, and that galleon cargo hold underneath. Now you can go ahead and add on your reactor and your Grav drive. I'm just doing a little merge glitch here to put them together so they take up less space. These Stroud engine bracers really came in handy for this build. Not only was I able to use them to create more mounting space, I also ended up using them as the entire tail spoiler. But more on that in a second. Now that the majority of the interior structures are in place, it's safe to begin adding the shroud caps around to build out the shape of the main body. I did skip 1 or 2 pieces underneath here, like the docker. I will come back to that in a second. It gets moved around a lot, so don't freak out. This bit right here is totally optional. I am not a huge fan of the way that the galleon cargo hold is shaped and looks on the bottom, so I was trying to hide a Deimos Hull A inside of it so it looked a little smoother. I used the stacking glitch to then put some more cargo space inside of the docker, and I was able to do it all at once. For those of you questioning what the stacking glitch and what merging glitching is, I have a full video guide on how to do all of those neat tricks. Card will be up in the right now. Okay, the bottom is put together. Now we can slowly start adding pieces onto the end and to the top. Apologies up front for jumping around a little bit. I know I'm going from like front to back and up and down. I do that because the amount of glitching that I do to get these shapes, things have to go in a certain order. And if they're not put in a certain order, you end up throwing everything off. For example, you see how the logos are glitching out right there because those two pieces aren't supposed to mesh? I'm then gonna hide this Deimos Hull A inside of it and solve the problem. Now you can't even see it. Before we move on to the back, I just wanted to sneak in these Vanguard Tempest missile launchers so I didn't forget about them. These two shroud caps will actually slide right in between the other ones there, and you're using that front snap point to get them to stick. Here I'm just doing some more stack glitching to try and work in this shroud cap again into the Grav drive reactor combo. But for those of you who watched my glitching video, see that I was struggling because I forgot to leave the gap underneath those Deimos hull pieces. Once I removed the hull out of the way, or the hab out of the way, I had no problem. Once all of that is now together, you can slide on your engines. I have really been loving the SA-4330s. They're probably some of the best engines in the game. You can get really high stats, and they don't cost much power. Okay, remember that spoiler I was talking about? In order to make this work, I had to get creative with the glitching and borrowing of snap points. It's easiest to swap out this center bracer with one of the building blocks, drop it in with everything else, and then work backwards to then glitch back in the center bracer in order to create solid snap points for the outer bracers. Now, if you don't bring back the center one, you'll end up with that unattached module error because there's no snap points for the outer ones. So remember to come back and reconnect this. All in all, you should have 5 bracers all the way across. Once the spoiler's on, all that's left is to attach the wings and the landing gear. This last section is probably pretty tricky, or at least was for me, and is completely optional. What I was trying to do was mimic the large Gatling gun that's underneath the original design, directly underneath the cockpit. And there are no weapons in Starfield that give you that kind of aesthetic, but that Hope Tech thruster piece looks like 2 big guns. So I was trying to hide some of the Gauss rifles behind it to make it look like an actual gun. Now, I kept running into the problem of these weapons were slightly too long for the Nova cowling that they were sitting on, so they kept, merging into everything, and I couldn't actually place the cowling. So what I ended up having to do was stat glitch it up underneath everything else using some building blocks. So what I did was moved the Hope Tech engine thruster out of the way. I lined up my building block. I then took the Nova cowling and placed it on top, and then I did the duplication glitch to stack it on top of each other until I had it in the right place. That puts all the guns merged together where they're not supposed to be able to go, in the place that I wanted it. I then take one more building block so that I can re-glitch in the thruster piece, the Hope Tech thruster piece, to look like the Gatling gun. And boom. There you go. You now have a functional and pretty cool looking Gatling gun. And you're done. Now I know that one was a little more complicated than usual, but I think the end result is really freaking cool. My only complaint with this build is that I wish that Starfield had bigger landing bays. Like when we eventually, fingers crossed, get some land vehicles and maybe those can go down there, that would make this build like absolutely perfect. Now going with the entire drop ship aesthetic, we have our armory. Gotta have the Deimos one with that awesome LED gun case. We have our workshop off here to the left. And in the last video, somebody corrected me and told me that there is no farm table or like pharmacology table in the Deimos hab, and I totally forgot about that table. I don't use it very often, but it's not included in there, so I was wrong when I said that it has all of them. On this side we have some more living quarter space. On this one I added some windows too, and I think this side looks really nice. You have that awesome lounge chair in the side that you can just peek out the window and take a look at those massive turrets that are mounted on the side. And above, I put in the captain's quarters. Now this Taiyo captain's quarter has this awesome little coffee nook in the corner with this little lounge chair. You can close the bathroom there. And then I put a skylight right above it. I think when you're floating out in space, this would be a cool place to just chill. And that does it for another build guide. Thank you all for watching. And remember, if you want a chance at winning that $200 studio quality mic, all you gotta do is come join the Wolves Den Discord. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like this video. Subs are always appreciated, and they do a lot to help out the channel. We are so close to 1,000 subs. Man, I gotta think of something cool to do for that milestone. If you have any ideas, drop a comment below and let me know. But that's all from me for now. Wolf, out!